metamorphic is changed. Well, if you change granite, it doesn't become granite. It becomes this clay again. So it's not under any classification. Granite is a miracle. It was put together by God, and it can't be recreated. You cannot make granite in the laboratory. Stone Mountain. You can't make it. It's impossible. It shouldn't be there. But it's there. It's like the big, and I like to tell this one. When I go look at Stone Mountain, I think about the story of the elephant in the room. Everybody know that story? You've probably heard that. You know about the elephant in the room? This guy from CSI is called to a murder scene. This guy has been stomped to death in this apartment. And he arrives at the scene, and there's the guy. He's about that thick. He's been stomped to pancake size. And he's trying to get into the apartment to see how this guy could have been stomped to death. But he can't get into the apartment because of this elephant that's in the apartment. So he's saying, somebody please get this elephant out of here so I can find out what killed this man. That's what's going on right now in science. Nobody sees the elephant in the room. This is the elephant in the room. It is so obvious. When you start to see with creationist glasses, and you start to take the Bible as the first and final authority, you will see that it is true. You'll drive down the road, and when you go from here to Chattanooga, when you drive interstate through Ringgold, and you see the cut there, and you see all the layers of rock, you're going to say, Noah's flood. It laid all that rock. Lookout Mountain, Sand Mountain, the whole range of Sand Mountain is sedimentary rock laid down by Noah's flood. It becomes so obvious. It's like, whoa, look at that. Look what happened in the flood there. You go to the Grand Canyon, you'll find these things. You say, it's so obvious. But the world has been blinded by this evolutionary concept. Now, here's the beauty, and this is the thing that got Greg Talent all charged up. Greg went down and bought a granite countertop for his house. Beautiful granite countertop. And when I told him what was in that granite, and that granite could not be made anymore, he got so excited, because here's the proof, and I'm going to quickly go through this if I can do it quickly. This is an actual photograph that's been magnified several hundred times of an element that is radioactive that's called polonium. Polonium happens, in most cases, when uranium deteriorates over time. It's one of the stages of the radioactivity being given off. And what happens is that it leaves a circle in the rock. It's actually exploding and leaving this burnt circle in the rock. But there's something strange about polonium in granite. It didn't come from uranium. It started on its own. Uranium has lots more rings that shows that it has deteriorated. Dr. Robert Gentry found that polonium only lasts for 3 minutes. Hang on to this. 3 minutes. It's very radioactive. It gives off all this energy, and then it deteriorates and goes on down and finally becomes lead. But when it gives off this energy, the rock keeps that signature. And you can look at the mica, the dark part of granite, under a microscope. And it explains how he does that in here. And you can actually see these little polonium halos in the rock. Millions and millions and millions of them. Now, let's analyze what I just said. If polonium only lasts 3 minutes, and it took millions of years for this granite to be formed, how did it get polonium in it? How is the polonium in the rock? There's only one way. And they explain this in here. If you put Alka-Seltzer into a glass of water, and you put the glass of water in the freezer, and you go back to the freezer an hour or so later, what do you get? Do you see any of the bubbles? No, the bubbles are all gone before the water freezes. So what had to happen for granite to have polonium in it? We're being analytical here. What had to happen?
Freeze.
It wasn't frozen.
But it was made.
They had to be created at the same instant. By what? By a miracle. Because you can't make granite. If it comes out of a volcano, it's not granite. If it's sedimentary, it's not granite. I don't think you got it yet. I'm watching your eyes. This is going to blow your mind when you get this. Oh my goodness. God spoke granite and polonium into existence at the same instant. 3 minutes later, the polonium was gone. But it left God's stamp of creation in the rock. God is saying, I did this. Have you ever seen a stamp on a seal like the kings used to do? They had the ring and the signet, and they'd put wax on the letter, and they'd seal it so that it couldn't be opened until it got to where it was supposed to be. This is God's seal on creation. And it's the base rock of all continents around the world. Stone Mountain has billions of these polonium halos in it. God has sealed His creation, and Robert Gentry was able to find that 30 years ago. That's me, sorry. But if you're interested in granite, that's one to watch. Okay. Now, we're going to get started with the lesson. And I've got several things I wanted to ask you about on this. Let me turn this off. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. I have a questionnaire I want to ask you first of all. I want to hand out several things to you, but I want to do the questionnaire first. Let me get it. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. I gave this questionnaire, and Ira and Carolyn probably remember this. You take the questionnaire at the start of the last one we did? Okay. Maybe you weren't there at the start.
We weren't.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Here's some questions, and I'm going to tell you the answer that the group did. We had about 40 to 50 people at the Talents House when we did this a year ago. And I asked them these questions. Number one, and I want you to give me your answers on this. Can a Christian believe in evolution and go to heaven?